Cool. Yeah, we are live. Awesome. Awesome. Welcome, everyone.
Yeah.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello to you wherever you are in the world. And welcome to this first of our Machine Learning for Beginners live streams. Now, this is an interactive session. We want to field your questions. We want to answer your questions. We want to chat to you. We want to learn about you. Yeah, we want you to jump in the chat and join us for this. However, we do insist that you follow our code of conduct. We'll get the code of conduct dropped in the chat, but by chatting with us, by asking questions, you agree to follow our code of conduct. If you don't, you'll be kicked off. We have a large legal team. We like to ban people from Microsoft events. So please, please do not break our code of conduct. Be nice, be kind, don't be a jerk. And so with that, welcome to Machine Learning for Beginners, and may the 4th be with you for anyone who's a Star Wars fan. If you followed any of my streams, or if you look at my background, you probably know that I'm a big fan of Star Wars. So it's kind of quite cool to hang out with you all on May the 4th. And
your T-shirt.
Really
your T-shirt.
Sorry?
Your T-shirt also.
Even the T-shirt. The T-shirt. Oh, yes. All about the Star Wars. I actually bought the T-shirt at the weekend. I went to see Return of the Jedi, very first film I ever saw in the cinema. I took my mum took me when I was like 5, and I took my daughter to see it at the weekend. So my wife, my daughter, and I all went out, bought matching T-shirts, and we wore these to the cinema.
Nice.
Because why not? Anyway, I am really excited today because I am joined by an absolutely amazing person. So I'm really privileged to be joined by Bea Stollnitz today. Bea is an absolute expert in the world of machine learning. So Bea, thank you for joining. And do you want to take a moment to introduce yourself?
I'm super excited to be here. Thank you, Jim, for inviting me. So my name is Bea Stollnitz, and I'm a principal cloud advocate at Microsoft. And I specialize in the area of AI, and specifically Azure ML and lately OpenAI.
Awesome. As I say, really excited to have Bea here. She's been an absolute expert. I've been working with her on the videos for this and this session. I've just been learning so much just from watching the way she does things and the content she creates. So I am really, really privileged to have Bea here. But this isn't just about us. This session is all about you. We're here to help you learn machine learning. So please, please jump in the chat, say hello, let us know where you are from in the world. I have to get folks in the streams from all around the world. So please let me know where you are. And also let me know what you're doing with machine learning, whether it's something you've done before, something you're new to. Just tell us something about you. Already kicked off a few. Jim M says, good day all from the Philly area. Jim M, great to have you with us. Welcome. Just for You is in Baltimore. Great to have you with us. So 2 folks from the US. Quinn Sab says, nice. I assume you're referring to the Star Wars. Yes, nice. Nice it is. Speak like Yoda, I will. Sorry. Crypto Uni, hey. Great to have you back with us, Crypto Uni. Crypto Uni has joined for some of my previous streams when we were looking at code interview problems in various different programs. Great to have you with us again. Mike V from Canada. Nice to have you here. Gert from Sweden. More Philly. Rahul from Philly. Esteban from Costa Rica.
Ooh, I was just there, Esteban. Great place. Great country.
I was living vicariously through your blog posts and the pictures there. I'm quite jealous. So, I think, Bea, we should probably go and do some live in-person machine learning conferences.
I agree. Travel to Costa Rica for work. I'm there.
Cool. Marek in Poland. Welcome. And you're learning machine learning. Awesome. Well, you've come to the right place. We're covering some machine learning literally right from the basics over this series. So glad to have you here. Hardik in California. Nice. Tech demos from England. A fantastic country. Speaking as an Englishman, I think it's great that you're from there. Awesome. And you're brand new to machine learning. Cool. This should be great for you. Juan from Ajax in Canada. Jerry from San Francisco. Hello. Ashish from Ontario. Cool. Anurag from India. Welcome.
Star Trek fan.
Yeah. Yes, maybe we'll do. May the force be with you.
Yeah.
I mean, we won't block you for being a Star Trek fan. It's fine. It's fine. We love all forms of science fiction here. It's all Cool. So Joe's from Massachusetts. May the fourth be with you, Joe. Glad to have you here. John David from Rochester, sharing the Star Wars love. That's nice. Darius from California. And Esteban says, thank you so much. Hope you enjoy the journey in this beautiful country.
I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, it's a place I need to go to. I've got a good friend who used to teach there. She's an elementary school teacher, and she used to actually teach in Costa Rica. She did part of her teaching there. She said it's an amazing place. I want to go back. So yeah, I think we should, Esteban. We should just join you for some for some machine learning
events there.
Nice. Well, it's great to have you with us. As I say, this chat is for you. Please jump in, stop us anytime with questions. We're here to help you. Now, what this whole session is all about machine learning for beginners. So machine learning for beginners started out as a 26-lesson curricula that we put together designed mainly originally for students and universities to kind of teach machine learning from the basics. We'll get a link to this dropped in the chat in a second, but the idea of this machine learning for beginners is it's open source, free to use curriculum to teach you all about machine learning. So there's a lot of great content in here. And then obviously there's a lot of people who like to learn by reading through the content and working through the lessons, but there's also folks who prefer to learn through video or prefer to learn through these kind of live streams. So Bea and I have been working really hard on getting this content available to you as both videos and these live streams that we're doing at the moment. So I'll get this link dropped in the chat. So this is the link to the GitHub repo that contains our machine learning for beginners, all the project there. So yeah, so we've been working on a series of videos to accompany these. We've dropped the first 4 videos on Monday. So if you join this Reactor series, you would have been directed to these videos on Monday. And these cover, I'm just dropping a link to this in the chat. And these kind of cover the first introductory section of this machine learning curriculum. We've got more videos coming next week, the week after, and then in June. The Microsoft Build Developer Conference is coming up at the end of May. So we're kind of going to be heads down on that, but after that, we'll be back with more. And the idea is we release these videos on a Monday, and then on a Thursday, Bea and I will be working through this content. And then on Friday, so tomorrow and then Friday next week and the week after, we have kind of a Q&A session where we want you to just bring your questions and it'll just be a free discussion. We can kind of talk about whatever you want to do. But obviously, we're happy to answer your questions in this session as well. So a few more things in the chat. Esteban says, come to Costa Rica. It's wonderful. Yeah, I'd love to. Real Hoser says greetings from the Great White North of Canada.
Ooh.
Nice. Mike is from San Francisco, says hello. Marco's in Miami. Great to have you all with us. So Sanjay, to answer your question, will this be a series of sessions? So yes. So we drop the videos on the Monday. Thursday, Bea and I work for content, and then Friday is Q&A. And obviously Thursday, we can answer questions as much as you like. I can get a link to the series to sign up for the whole thing. If you just sign up for this one session, we have a whole series you can sign up for to get all the reminders for all the sessions. So this week, next week, the week after, taking a break for build, bit of vacation time, and then we'll be back in June to kind of wrap things up. So Marek G says, I saw the videos. Great. Hope you like them. In true YouTuber style, I hope you rang the bell, liked and subscribed, or whatever it is we're supposed to do to be a cool hip YouTuber. Sunny 861 says awesome. Yes, these should be a lot of fun. Wow, a lot of people are saying hello. This is really great. I'm really enjoying everyone jumping in saying hello. Ediberto from Sao Paulo.
Olá, Ediberto, tudo bem?
Sorry?
Tudo bem in Portuguese. He'll understand.
Nice. Sanjay from Canada. Sanjay from India. We've got Alex in St. Louis. Sandy says, I want to start machine learning. It's a perfect start. Thanks. That's what we're here for. This is designed to be very much beginner level content.
Beginner,
So
yeah.
this is for us to help you with classical machine learning, talk about the whys, the wherefores, and just, give you some of the basics and get you on that journey. Mike V says, please post a series. It's hard to find a meetup. Yes. So when we publish a link to a whole series, that just goes on our Microsoft Reactor channel site. We don't put those on Meetup because Meetup doesn't really have this concept of a series. So we just had a link dropped in the chat there for you to register for the whole series. So yeah, check out the link, developer.microsoft.com/reactor/series 1127. Follow that link and you can sign up for the series and you'll get reminders, calendar whole sent for the whole thing. And then Ediberto is replying.
Yeah, so I speak Portuguese from Portugal. He speaks Portuguese from Brazil. But it's very similar.
Cool. Yeah. We do React content in Portuguese. So, Bea, if you wanted to redo this session in Portuguese, I'm sure that would be a lot of fun.
Except I don't think I can speak it anymore, at least not in a work context. I just don't use it enough.
Oh, well, this is your chance, So yeah, Crypto Uni says, the way ChatGPT is going, I'll be saying hello from Mars in the next decade. How's that for dystopian sci-fi?
I mean, AI may get us there sooner than we think. There's no doubt about that.
Yes, but only if it's a benefit to capitalism, it seems.
Right.
Cool. Yeah, Mike V says thanks. Yep. No, happy to share the link. It'd be great to have you with us. Okay. So let's actually kind of dive in. So what we're going to do today, Bea and I are just going to walk you through the machine learning for beginners, just the introduction, basically the same kind of stuff that we covered in the videos. But this is going to be, we'll talk about it. We will, sidetrack a little bit and say we're happy to answer your questions. So the curriculum.
The pre-recorded version is condensed, and this one is chatty. So whichever one is your best learning style, we got it covered.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the pre-records. We've got 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 4 minutes. Yeah. So it's like, So Bea, you were awesome in the studio. It's like bang, 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 straight to the point. Get these all out. So
thank you.
Cool. Okay. So if you haven't seen Machine Learning for Beginners, there's a whole lot of lessons here. It's all free to use, and we're working through the introduction today, just covering off some of the introductions to machine learning. So kind of what it is and why we do it. By the end of this whole kind of series, you'll actually be running some logistic regression, linear regression, all these great things that I really don't understand, but Bea's the expert in. So you'll be getting a chance to actually get hands-on. We start today. Today's going to just be chatting about a lot of the concepts, but then the next few series is going to be very, very hands-on. You'll have a chance to fire up a notebook and do things. But one thing we kick off here is kind of what is machine learning. So I guess hand this to you, to Bea, because you're the expert here. How would you start machine learning?
Well, actually, if you can scroll down to there's like a little chart, a little graph, not chart, like an image. So I think that is really the one image that I have found that helps people understand what machine learning is, because there's all like these related concepts, like similar concepts to it. So we've all heard of AI, and AI is really like kind of our attempt to make machines reason like we do, like reason like humans, and be able to make decisions and kind of like to essentially be intelligent like we are. But there's many ways of doing that, right? And there have been many techniques in the past that have been tried for that. We talk about expert systems in the history, and there have been others, right? And then there's been like this one technique for AI called machine learning that has had a lot of kind of popularity in the last few decades. Like it's actually done really well, and it has taken us further than other techniques that have been tried. So ML is a subset of AI, and ML is really the way that it's different from other techniques is that it uses data. So it's really just based on like, if you have a ton of data, ML is able to like look at your data and kind of extract little, tidbits of information from that data that then can help you make better decisions. So that's really what it is. And then within ML, then we have deep learning. So deep learning is really when you use the same ideas, so learn from data, but specifically use neural networks to do that. There's other techniques for extracting information from data. In fact, this whole course is about these other techniques. It's not about neural networks. So you're going to learn regression and logistic regression and other types of regression, which are ML techniques that are not deep learning. They're not neural networks, right? But deep learning has had like a lot of popularity lately, and like just like of a month ago, things are changing so fast in AI. But just like of a month ago, I would actually make this image different. Like I would add another like subset within deep learning called generative AI, which I'm sure you've heard of ChatGPT, and all these generative models are everywhere these days. And they essentially use one specific technique or one specific type of neural network, which is transformers, with a bunch of other techniques on top of that to generate text, right? And there's also ones that generate images. So there's all sorts of generative models these days, right? So that's basically how I would kind of explain like the general field. And then we also have data science here. And generally, when you speak of, data scientists often, generally know about AI, they know about deep learning, they know about generative AI, but data scientists, they also know a lot about data visualization and cleaning the data and how to explain data to people, like how to present it in a way that it has impact. And so that's kind of how I see data science. Like it includes parts, or a portion of everything else, but then it also has a very strong component, a very strong focus on how to communicate that data and how how to talk about it, how to expose it to other people. And we're going to do a little bit of that in this course. Like there's going to be a little bit of data visualization, so you're going to get a little bit of a taste of that. But then we have other courses that go deeper. And you're going to see, so one thing that I like about this course versus a lot of others that you see online is that this is very hands-on. So we're going to be introducing the concept and getting you to write code, or to at least look at our code, actually to write code, right? We're going to get you to write your own code in notebooks at the same time that we're explaining these concepts. So we don't just like first explain and then give you homework. We're going to be kind of interweaving those two things the entire time.
So to take a question from Ashish, which is, are there going to be practice tasks and quizzes?
Yes.
So Ashish, I mean, yes.
Yes.
If you actually work through this, the content in the repo, it's designed so you can work through it by yourself. The video is kind of just there as supplementary material. We have things like a pre-lecture quiz. So you can kind of take this quiz in your own time. And then as we get through and as you get hands-on, there are notebooks that you can work on. So there are tasks you can do. And then with each lesson, there are challenges and then assignments as well, and kind of self-study. So yeah, as you kind of work through this in your own time, you will be able to put as much effort in as you want to into doing things like the quizzes. In fact, you know what? Let's put B on the spot here.
Oh no.
Yes, we are going to do the pre-lecture quiz. Okay. So question number 1. Applications of machine learning are all around us. True or false?
I see Alexa, I can't say her name too loud, over there. So she's kind of smart sometimes. What else? I don't know. I think it's around me. Yeah, I would say yes.
Okay, let's go for true. What is the technical difference between classical machine learning and deep learning? Is it classical machine learning was invented first, the use of neural networks, or deep learning is used in robots?
I don't know. I would like to see people respond to this question.
Okay, so this is an answer for everyone then, okay?
Yeah.
But I noticed people, from looking at the chat, actually, Tech Demo, Raudas, Marek G, and Robert Wilson all said truth, the last one. So yeah, come on, jump in the chat, folks. What is the difference?
I actually mentioned this in my little explanation of the chart.
Okay, Rahul Das goes for 2. Cool Brothers goes for 2.
Let's try 2.
Let's try 2. Okay. Yeah. Miguel Delgado goes neural networks. Marek goes B. Tech Demo says use of neural networks. Yep.
All right.
Okay. And then why might a business want to use machine learning strategies? Would it be to automate the solving of multidimensional problems, to customize a shopping experience based on type of customer, or both?
I don't know. Again, I want to see people reply to these things.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see what answers people come up with. So while
I
they're
mean, I feel
doing.
like these days ML does everything. I mean, it only works for problems where you have data, right? Like
Mhm.
that's actually one of the things that I say in the video. Like, when do you know how, like, whether you have a good problem for machine learning? If you have data for that problem, then machine learning will work for it. Now, the good news is like we have data for almost everything these days. Like we kind of live in the age of data, and so machine learning has been used for things that we didn't anticipate that it would work for just a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, so I do a lot of IoT stream, for example, and a lot of IoT is
Hmm.
gathering data. It's gathering that
Yeah,
ridiculous amount of data, and I keep on
right.
saying that, some of your best friends in IoT is like a data scientist, because you've got someone needs to tell you, are you gathering the right data, or are you gathering the right way, and then you
Yeah,
need to do something with that data. So that's where the machine
right.
learning engineer comes in, the AI expert comes in to actually help you do something with that data to then optimize your machine or look at your machine for issues. So yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of it's everywhere there is data. And look at the responses, both three, both C3, both. Yeah, everyone's saying
All
both of the
right.
above.
Let's do it.
Did it? Yes,
Woohoo!
we all got it correct. Go team.
We did it.
Nice. I'm just going to
Very
scroll back up
nice.
to the chat. So crypto, you need to ask a question.
Okay.
How much stats and game theory, if any, is kind of needed to really understand machine learning? Do you need to be a statistician? But yeah,
That's a
kind of.
good question.
Yeah.
So I've worked as a TA in grad school, and I got that question a lot. Like, oh, which classes should I take if I want to get into machine learning? Or which ones should I choose? Right? And typically, my answer to that was an introduction to statistics, and introduction is enough. Like you can get really deep in statistics, but an introduction will get you there. A linear algebra for like first year kind of engineering or math or computer science course, like a basic linear algebra course that will teach you about matrices. So statistics to know about probabilities and that kind of stuff, and variance and median, that kind of stuff. Uh, um, Linear algebra to understand things like matrices and matrix operations, matrix multiplications, dot product, those kinds of things. And then a basic calculus class, mostly to understand derivatives, and in particular partial derivatives. And so this is all more for deep learning than it is for classical machine learning. But if you want to like all the math, to know all the math, you need to know all of machine learning, this would be it. This would be these three courses: one statistics, one linear algebra, one calculus. Now, you may ask me, oh, that's too much. Like, do I need to know all that to get into machine learning? And you don't, right? Like, the reality is, like, as you work through these machine learning problems, you're going to learn the little bits of statistics that you need to know. And you're going to learn the little bits of linear algebra that you need to know, so you can pick it up that way. There's also courses that are specifically like, even on the web, like math for machine learning, that kind of just incorporate those three in one and kind of teach you the things that you need to know. And then the other thing to know is like most of the people these days, they're not actually doing machine learning from scratch, like creating their models from scratch. They're just calling APIs like OpenAI, calling APIs that do the complicated stuff for them. And so a lot of people working in the field, they're really just developers. They're not necessarily data scientists or machine learning engineers who have like this, infinite knowledge of the field. They understand what it can do, what machine learning can do, and they understand like how to get the most out of it, but they don't necessarily need to be true experts in the little nitty gritty details, right? And so I guess if you were in college, I would say take these three classes, because you're going to need to take classes anyway. So pick these three instead of picking others, right? But if you're not in college, I would just say try to start with a material with machine learning, and then see where you have gaps. Like if you just can't understand regression because you don't have enough statistics to understand it, then go do a few videos of statistics and come back. But maybe you won't need to, right? Maybe you'll just go through material and feel like it's okay, right? So that's basically what I would do. Just don't get stuck like too much, like I need to learn all this math before I learn machine learning, right? Like just take a more practical. If you're not in college, take a more practical approach to it, and then just fill the gaps as needed.
Just I think one of your points, I think it's is really relevant there, that kind of talks about why AI is so popular now, is the fact there are APIs.
Yeah.
You look at how much tooling is coming from Microsoft and Google and Amazon and Meta, OpenAI, all these different companies. A lot of them it's AI as a service, isn't it? It's the idea that
Mm-hmm.
you can leverage the power of these tools without having to build the tools. I mean,
Exactly.
I know none of these maths. I haven't done stats. I don't know what linear algebra actually is, but I can still call an API. I can still, as an application developer, I can still write code that uses what the ML experts kind of create. So really just that access to the APIs has meant more people are using them. And as more people are using them, there's a bigger demand for more people to build them. So, you know, the kind of that rising tide is lifting all ships as an application developer, but also because we need more APIs that do it, there's more machine learning developers needed.
Yeah, exactly. I do agree with that. I do think that there's a place for, like, regardless of your expertise, there's a place where you're needed in this whole kind of pipeline of machine learning that we're seeing kind of exploding these days. And so there's a place for, like, if you want to go learn the basics and build more of these foundational models, because there's going to be more demand for these models. There's a place for you if you just want to be a developer who calls those APIs and uses them in applications, because I actually think this is really the biggest area of growth right now. And so there's always a place for you. But I also think that the more you know, the better. Like, even if you're a developer using the APIs, you know, if you understand what's going on behind the scenes, then you're just more comfortable using it. You're like, oh, you know, I get what this does. Like, I may not be creating them from scratch, but I understand what's going on behind the scenes. So more knowledge is better.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so scrolling back in the chat, there's a lot of chat here. So Sanjay is saying, in engineering, I studied control systems where the system out is used to be fed again as input to improve the result. It's like a self-learning system. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Because that's kind of part of what we want to do, is we want to take the data that comes out and use that to retrain models.
Yeah, exactly. And there's definitely concepts similar to that in machine learning. Yeah. You'll see.
So Jim M says, I've experience in linear programming and regression, but I have regressed.
You've regressed from your regression?
And wish to get back in it. Okay. Oh, terrible.
Yeah, actually, right after this first series this week is really just like kind of there's no code yet. Like, we're just like explaining some of the concepts and get you situated. But starting next week, we're gonna be diving deep into regression. And so if you've regressed from your regression and you want to get back to it, then you're in the right place.
And we like bad jokes here as well. So keep them coming. Keep them coming. Okay. So Sanjay asked a question. How much Python knowledge is required for ML? Because I guess as we think about the growth in building machine learning models, in terms of the programming languages that have been used, Python's kind of the one, would you say?
Yes, yeah, definitely. It is the one right now. I think many other languages have attempted to steal a piece of the pie, but the reality is, like, Python is where the action is right now. How much Python knowledge? So I think I would answer the same way as the math question. I would say try to follow the exercises that we're going to show you, and the Python that we're going to be using is not like super complicated. So if you can like figure it out, maybe if you know other languages, you can kind of, oh, this is a variable, this is a for loop, you can kind of see the parallels, and maybe you'll understand it just fine, and you'll learn Python through the examples, the ML examples you'll see. So that could work for you. If you're more like the kind of person that wants to first learn the Python and then the machine learning, we do have an ML. Is it an ML for beginners, Jim, on Python? Or we have a course that we share, right, for you to learn Python from scratch.
Yeah, we have a whole beginners. Let me just drop a link to that in the chat, actually. So,
yeah, so Python for beginners or something.
Python for beginners.
Yeah.
Let me just check the.
And just like with the math, the more Python the more comfortable you're going to be with this. Like, then the new knowledge that you're going to be acquiring is just the ML knowledge and not the Python knowledge, right? If you have less Python knowledge and you'll be acquiring both at the same time, so you'll just might need to put a little bit more time into digesting the material and kind of, maybe consulting websites on the side to make sure things make sense to you. Yeah.
So just drop this link in the chat. So I have to check to make sure I have the link right. So yeah, just drop a link for Python for beginners. There's 44 videos, little short 3, 4, 5 minute videos that cover a lot of the Python concepts. I think as well, it's not just about learning about Python. There's a lot of libraries you can use to do this, aren't there? So
yeah,
as long as you understand the intent of the library, you're just calling into a library, aren't you?
Right, exactly. I in fact, already next week, we're going to be using some of the more popular libraries in machine learning. So it's really going to be more about the knowledge of those libraries and really knowledge of Python, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, but one thing is, because it is Python, you will need to make sure you have Python installed if you want to work through.
Right.
Everything.
We'll help you with that. Actually, didn't the video already come out for
The video's
Python?
already out that covers
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Right.
So
Oh, the
yeah,
fourth
video
one.
number 4 in our series talks about
Yeah.
the tools you have to install. Oh, quick shout out. Actually, I wanted to say this. If you go to the repo, if you've not come across GitHub Codespaces, Codespaces are basically computers in the cloud you can use to run a cloud version of Visual Studio Code. Everyone gets 60 hours of Codespaces available to them. So you can actually open in Machine Learning for Beginners, the repo in a Codespace, and run all the code there. And you don't have to worry about installing Python, because we spin up an environment for you that's pre-configured. So if you don't have Python installed, don't worry, you can do everything in Codespaces, which is cool. So Sanjay goes on to say, I'm an Azure data engineer coming from an MSBI background. I'm guessing business intelligence.
Okay.
Heavy implementation scares the hell out of me. Yeah, I mean, there's not huge amounts of code here because we're leveraging libraries. I mean, I get scared by machine learning code, and I'm not too scared by this. So
there you go.
Should be good.
There's your answer. And we'll go through it slowly. Like, you can actually already work your be ahead of the videos and work through the notebooks in the regression section to see what's coming up. But in the videos, we'll work through them like slowly and line by line. Like, we won't be assuming too much. So give it a try, and it may work for you, right? But I also understand that not every course works for every people. So also keep that in mind. Like, if this doesn't work for you, go find one that does. But I'm hoping that this will. The intention was to make it really for absolute beginners. So.
And also, we'll add, we have on the GitHub repo, we have this discussions tab. So if it's not working for you, tell us.
Let us know. Yeah.
Because we want this to work for you. And also as well, I mean, we are focusing on Python, but some of the lessons are available in R as well. So if you're an R person rather than a Python person, we do have some of the lessons available in R. It's open source, so if there's a lesson you want to do that's not in R, we would love for you to submit an R version for us, because we've had a lot of people contributing towards this repo. So if you prefer R, we'd love for you to contribute to that. Jim M says, I love differential equations.
So my what my focus on in grad school was applied math. So that's my thing, differential equations, as it applies to machine learning. So it's kind of like a half and half kind of thing. So yeah, I love differential equations too. So thank you for saying that, Tim.
So saying about math, actually, thing from John Davies says, it seems that most job postings don't concern themselves with math, just the coding. So someone with significant math or engineering training isn't considered in the process without the coding job stuff. Would you say that's true?
I would say that's true for most jobs these days. It kind of most of the job growth is really going to happen in an area where people are coding with these things and not necessarily making them from scratch, right? So when you're, let's say, using OpenAI, you're not creating the models from scratch. They created the models, they trained them, they put them in the cloud, and then you go and you use those models, right? And yeah, I see that area exploding, like in terms of jobs in the near future, right? Now, I think that as that area explodes, as Jim was saying, there's going to be more of a demand for people to create these models from scratch because there's going to be more interest in AI. There is already today more interest in AI than there was 10 years ago. And so there's always going to, this is a bit of a cycle. But I think that in terms of percentage, there's always going to be way more jobs for people using the AI than people creating the hardcore models that you see out there.
Yeah, a small number of people create the models, then you've got a large group of people who work for companies like Microsoft expose the models, and then you've got a massive group of people who kind of are the
use
end
the
users.
Models. Exactly. Yeah. But but for that, just take a Python course, right? Like that, for that to be that kind of, to have that role of like using AI, you don't necessarily need to know the AI from scratch. You need to know how to code with Python, and you need to be familiar with the APIs that are exposed. Yeah.
Sticking with the math thing, Tech Demo asks, is it necessary to do A-level maths to work in AI? I guess it's the same answer, isn't it? If you're building the AI models, yes. If you're coding against them, no.
No, right. Exactly. Yeah. And even like, in this course, we are going to be building the models from scratch. So we're going to be doing like kind of the low level foundational aspect, like of technical machine learning work. But even for that, I would encourage you to try it and see if you have enough of a math background to do it, because it's not that complicated. And if you don't, you can kind of supplement it with little videos on the internet to go learn the few things that you need to know. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So a few questions coming about resources. So Apov asks, is it possible to have resources and links to online classes for these? So there's loads of links actually in the curriculum. So as you work through it, we put loads of links to other videos and other content in there, like this MIT's John Guttag introducing machine learning, things like that. So there's plenty in there. But I saw one here. Kellyanna Raman asks, is there a series invite? We'll get that dropped in the chat for you straight away. So yeah, you can start for the series so you can get the invites every week. Christopher Hayes says R. Yes, R is a statistical language.
Yeah. In fact, you'll see that people who have a background in statistics, like who studied statistics in college, they generally come with a background in R, because that's typical the language that gets taught in the statistics department. So that's why R is also a popular language for machine learning, because a lot of data scientists come from that statistics background. Now, I would say that even then, I would say that Python is more popular today. And you'll see that most people who come from a computer science or a math background or even an engineering background will have some knowledge in Python, and maybe that's why, right? And so yeah, there's a lot of people. And then the other one I would mention that is kind of growing and I'm kind of watching slowly is Julia. So Julia is not yet a thing, but I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years it would become a thing, because it's a really well done language that has really, it was just really well designed. It was very well created, and it's still not very used, but I'm seeing it more and more used in academic kind of community, in the academic community. And usually things happen first there and then make it to the general public. So I'm kind of watching it and seeing, will this be one of those that makes it to the general public, or will it start and die there and never become popular? We don't know at this point. So at this point, I would say Python is the most popular one.
And also Python, because it's used for everything, where and kids are learning to code in Python, just the number of resources available is just enormous. You can buy kids coding books in Python. My dad, for example, in his mid-70s, and he's been trying to keep his mind active, and he's been working through a kid's Python coding book. It's actually written by a colleague of ours, but wow. I sent him a copy, and he was kind of working through that. So there's so many great resources to learn Python at kind of whatever level you are at, whether you want the really basic stuff that's designed for younger kids to more advanced books. There's a lot more Python content than there is R content. So it's kind of got that self-sustaining cycle, isn't it? Where everyone uses it, so there's more content, which means everyone uses it, so there's more content. Crypto Uni jumps in and says, no, Rust all the way for data science and ML in future. Show some Rust love, please. Yes, so I love Rust. Crypto Uni joined some of my streams about Rust, but yeah, it's not, unfortunately, Python is the way to go. I'm sure in the future there'll be lots of Rust love for it. So Apov, just same with this Python thing, says, is completing CS50 for Python course enough for this project? I mean, I don't know what's in CS50, but I think as Bea was saying, as long as you can understand variables and calling libraries, that's basically it, isn't it? It's not hard.
Yeah, I would say that if you have experience with any programming language, even a scripting language like JavaScript, I think you'll be able to keep up, because we're not using like super complicated Python. And if there's something we put in there, we put in notebooks that you don't understand, just look up that thing, because Python, as Jim was saying, there's such a huge community that if you search for anything, you'll find an answer somewhere on the web, right? And you'll be able to understand. You'll learn it that way. Learn it by doing. If you don't have a background in any programming language, then I think it would be a little bit harder to keep up. And at that point, then I would say, do a course in Python before you do this, because it'll be easier if you really have no programming background at all.
Yeah, I mean, the Python for Beginners link that I put in the chat earlier, that covers more than enough for what you need, I would say. Apart from just kind of the internals of SciKit Learn and NumPy, which just taking Kalyana Ramaman's comment, Yes, we'll be doing some NumPy and Pandas. But again, it's just kind of using it, and we do explain kind of what the things are.
Yeah. And SciKit, right? I think we're going to use SciKit.
SciKit
next week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next week.
So Dark Teal Glasses asks, sorry I'm late, just finished lunch. Hope it was a good lunch. Was it teachers always say, I hope you bought enough to share. So yes, I'll just drop a link to the GitHub repo again in the chat for you, Dark Teal Glasses.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would also say like the videos kind of were really meant to go with the GitHub repo, not so much to stand on their own. Like I think the videos are more to kind of give you like a quick introduction so that when you're working through the material, it won't be as overwhelming. But they kind of assume that you're doing both at the same time and that you're going back and forth and struggling with the material on your own, right? Because I think that's really how you learn coding, is like by doing and then doing it wrong 3 times and then doing it right the 4th time. And yeah, so I hope that that's how you guys will use the videos and not just like watching it and hoping to absorb everything in a 4-minute video, right?
Yeah, you need to do, don't you? The videos get you inspired, and then you need to do. Oh, Nagla Hannah's here from Egypt. Welcome.
Ooh,
glad to have you here again. I remember you joined some of the Crack Code Interview series in Python, I think it was. So great to have you back. Cryptos Union is asking about SPSS, saying does anyone use it anymore? And GMM follows up with SAS is out there, but not SPSS. So SPSS is Statistical Package for Social Sciences.
Huh.
It's a load of tools designed for social science folks. I used to know someone who did a master's degree in sociology, and they used SPSS, but we're talking, late 90s, early 2000s. Sanjay J says, you guys are a great mentor. Thank you. Thank you.
Love to you, Sanjay. Thank you.
Yeah. Serious heart hands going on here. Yeah. Thank you. We want to help you. So yeah, I'm glad this is good stuff. So Dark Teal Glasses is confirming CS50 is a Harvard course on Python. And Mike V says, judging from what was taught in CS50, I would say CS50 Python should be okay. Cool. So yes, if you completed that.
And if you can find it online, if it's online, I would say, yeah, any like university level course will on Python will give, actually the first 2 weeks of that course would probably be enough to do this material, like, because we don't really do super advanced Python. And I know that university classes can go pretty deep on anything they teach.
So Mohammed jumps in to say, no need to buy SPSS. It's now all in SciKit Learn, SciPy, things like that. So SPSS.
Thank you, Mohammed. That's good to know.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. Joe Bell says, I've been programming COBOL for over 40 years. Yeah, old stuff is still needed, isn't it?
Totally. Yeah.
So great question from Kellyanna.
Very good course.
Yeah, I apologize if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Kellyanna Raman saying, what IDE is needed for this course? Yeah, maybe we should jump forward a little bit.
Yeah, let's do
and talk about the tools that we're using. We'll kind of jump forward and back a bit. So,
actually, it's in the next one. It's not. Yeah, it's not.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So, in terms of the tools, we're using a number of different tools. I have to bring up this picture because it's very, very cool. So, the terms of the tools that we are using for this. Yeah, Bea, do you want to kind of talk through what we need?
Yeah. So mostly in terms of IDE, we're going to be using VS Code. It is free and it's very popular for data science. So we're not using it because we're at Microsoft. We're using it because it is very popular at the moment for data science, for machine learning. We use Python, as we just talked about, as a main programming language in the videos. And as Jim said, there's also our notebooks that you can find in the repo that you can use that. And we're going to use SciKit Learn, which is a package that helps you do lots of common machine learning operations. And it's a Python package. So a package that we're going to install on top of Python. And we're going to be using notebooks. And so notebooks is basically an environment where you can do both code execution, you have text explanations, and you can see visualizations all in one place. And it's really good environment for learning and for experimenting. And so the cool thing about notebooks is that we're going to be showing you some code, or you're going to be giving you some exercises. You can try to do them on your own, or you can look at our solutions right away. But either way, you can add more code of your own, intermingled with our code or instead of our code, that tries things out, right? So, and I think that's really how you're going to learn, by experimenting on your own, not, and just playing with the code.
Now I'm just going to hide my screen for a second because for some reason I'm not logged in on GitHub. So I'm just going to hide my screen while I sign in. Now I'll actually quickly show the Codespace thing.
And then the other thing I wanted to say is also is that, like, in terms of operating system, it really doesn't matter. Like, you can use Mac, you can use Windows, you can use Linux, and we give you instructions for all three in the video. So whatever you have, it's fine. Like, we see data scientists working in all platforms, and I don't see that there's like a disadvantage or advantage to one over the other.
And I guess the advantage of things like Codespaces as well is it doesn't really matter what platform you're running from. It could even be an iPad, because you're doing it on Codespaces.
Exactly. As long as you have a keyboard for your iPad.
Yeah. Okay, so let me just bring my screen up again now that I'm logged in. So if I go back to the ML for Beginners repo, under code we have Codespaces, which is say are delights of working for Microsoft as it ingrains itself in everything you do in Codespaces. There we go. So the advantage of Codespaces is it's basically spins up a computer in the cloud. And so you access that computer through Visual Studio Code that runs on the web, or you can actually run it locally. But we've got the Codespace all set up so everything's pre-installed. So it doesn't matter what platform you're on. You don't have to install Python. You don't have to install the Jupyter notebooks, anything like that. So I'm just put up Codespace. I kind of show you those notebooks because I think this is kind of one of the cool things that you can do when you're building this. Is it's not like you need to spin up a new application. You've literally got a playground you can play in.
And they don't need to install anything, not even Python, right?
So, I mean, literally, I've just gone here. I've just done Codespace, new Codespace. Everyone gets 60 hours or something, which is plenty.
Can you show how to execute a notebook? Yeah. Can you open a notebook, like from the future session videos that we have cover, and just execute it so people can understand?
I mean, let's find a solution notebook maybe for.
Yeah. That's a solution notebook for a future video that you'll see next week, right? Okay. So you just go there.
Just need me to reload the window because it's installing the extensions.
Okay.
So here's a solution one from next week.
And you can just run it. Right. Click play in that little triangle.
Should just go here. And if I can run this.
Maybe you're not set up.
It should be set up. It should be working.
Is it?
There we go. Oh, just takes a few seconds for it to get all set up. Sorry.
Yeah, so Jupyter extension that's installing is so that you can run these notebooks that I was saying that have text and code kind of intermingled. And so you do have to install that to be able to run it.
It's all configured in the Codespace. Just when you first do it, it wants to run a little bit of setup. But I do this. Now I run this. It does all it's installing. It's probably going to fail because I need to install a package, don't I? Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll go through this like in more detail, I guess, in future. Yeah, you'd have to install the package. So,
as you actually work through steps, we tell you what you need to install as we go along. So we're just jumping ahead just for the purposes of demonstration. So Caden says, that's good. You can call me Caden. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, so now we've got that installed. Now this runs. So as you see, we've got some code here, and I run it and it spits stuff out. And there's some more code here. I run it and it spits things out. So in fact, I can just run everything. So each of these blocks is a little bit of code. I'm not creating a new .py file. I'm just literally, I can put code in here, and I can add code blocks. I can add more code blocks on the end. I can add markdown blocks where I can go, things like that, whatever. So you can kind of mix, it allows you to mix documentation and code, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's what they're good for, is mixing documentation code. Mohammed had a really good question. Like, he's asking if he has free access to this, and absolutely you have free access to this. And do you mind pasting again, Jim, the location of our GitHub repo? So the idea is that you would be following along in this GitHub repo with the videos. That's I think the best way to learn, is to do not just the videos, but the videos and the code at the same time.
Yeah, just dropped a link in the chat. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's Colin says it's Codespaces collective 60 hours. So yeah, every month you get 60 hours of Codespaces. So this is not running locally. This is all running in the cloud, and it's pre-configured. But what I can do, if you're that way inclined, this does have like a Docker file. So Codespaces runs as a Docker container. So if you like Docker, you can literally clone this repository locally and open it up in Docker, and it will create a container for you that's pre-configured. So again, you don't have to set anything up if you don't want to. If you want to run it locally, then you install Python, a few other bits and pieces, but you don't have to. You can run it in the cloud, which is really, really cool.
And if you want to run it locally, then video 4 explains exactly all the steps that you need to do to run locally. So it's video 4 on the 4th, right? On May the 4th. You should watch video 4 on May the 4th.
You should watch all the videos on the May the 4th. If you've got time between watching Star Wars movies. Cool. Okay, so just sitting back up, loads of questions. This is great. This is what we're here to do, is answer your questions. So we're back again tomorrow, because I think we haven't even touched on some of the stuff we want to talk about. So tomorrow we'll talk about some more, and again we'll be there for your questions. So where is it? So Alex Rivera Drum says, I just graduated from Code Fellows Bootcamp in Python. Highly recommended. Yeah, Code Fellows has been an awesome bootcamp. I've had a privilege of working with a few folks who have been working through that or have graduated from Code Fellows. I run an open source bootcamp locally here in Redmond in Washington State on the Microsoft campus. We run every few months. We run a GitHub and open source bootcamp over a weekend, and get a lot of folks from Code Fellows coming along. So Code Fellows is great. Rafa H says hello from Bea. Bea is in Brazil, I'm guessing. Welcome, glad to have you here. So Jimmy makes a good fun point. To be honest, my coding is poor. I seem to have more luck with pre-built templates and Hugging Face. Yeah, I mean, I can't build these machine learning models. I can't do that, but I can write applications against them. So, you know, I like using the pre-built models. But yeah, there's obviously a lot of cool stuff you can do if you can build the models.
Yeah, and I think that you'll see like that even if you don't have like if you're not a super expert in coding, there, you know, hopefully you'll see next week that it doesn't actually take that much code to build a model from scratch, a simple model. It's really just a few lines of code.
Well, here's an example here, for example. So here's an example here, for example. That was terrible English. So this is one of the ones we'll be doing next week. We'll actually be building this, but you think we've got 5 lines of code to get some data, another line of code to do a bit of data cleaning. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines of code to do some more data cleaning, 4 lines of code to kind of plot a chart, another couple of lines of code to plot a chart. So it's not huge amounts of code to kind of get through and look at sort of getting data ready, because a lot of the functions are kind of there for us. You know, what are we doing? Reading a CSV file, making a few, doing data cleaning. It's like, here's a line of code to data clean. Here's a line of code to data clean. So it's not a lot, and Python's quite readable, isn't it? So this is, yeah, it's reasonably readable. I mean, you get pumpkins.lock. That's obviously something you need to know what it means. But in general, it's reasonably readable. Once you know what things like lock is, then you can understand the code. So it's just more about learning the libraries than anything else.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sian says, good day from Lagos, Nigeria. Please, what certification exam will be related to this class after completing it? We don't have a certification exam that's related to this because ML for beginners, it's all about teaching you the basic concepts for machine learning. The certifications we offer are around the Microsoft tools. But obviously this gives you the basics that you can then use to then go and use the Azure machine learning tools. And then I believe you probably know more about this than I do, but we do have a selection of certifications. So this gives you kind of the basic groundwork. You then learn how to use the Azure AI tooling. And then there's like an Azure AI fundamentals and a few other courses, aren't there?
Yeah, I think there is an Azure ML certification, and that's actually a good question. So for example, if you want to become an Azure ML expert, which is a Microsoft product, you can't become an expert on running models in the cloud if you don't know how to create models in your own computer from scratch. So this follows, right? Like, so if you learn this is like the perfect foundation that you need to then do an Azure ML certification, for example, right? And so, yeah, so there's no certification for this because nothing that we're going to be talking about here is Microsoft specific. These are really just like tools that are all open source, all available to everyone, and that kind of are very popular with people that work in any company with any set of tools.
Cool. Sorry, more questions. There's a lot of people asking questions. So we're back
I love
tomorrow
it.
for more questions. We've only got 5 minutes left. We are back same time tomorrow for the rest for more questions. So this is cool. Really glad that there's some good stuff here.
Yeah.
So Tech Demo asks, is this stream covering anything past the first 4 videos? We've got 5 minutes left, so no.
No.
But next week, so next Monday, we're dropping 5 more videos, which cover regression. And then so there'll be a stream next Thursday where again we'll be working through the regression stuff. We'll runs the notebooks, talk through it more, and then we'll have another Q&A stream afterwards. So next week we'll be going further. Week after that, going further. Then we're taking a break from Microsoft Build, and then coming back afterwards and going further. So there's a lot here, and we know this is a hot topic, so we're expecting a lot of questions. So that's why we've kind of spaced it out over multiple weeks to kind of give plenty of chance people to learn things.
And next week we're actually going to start with the coding. So we're actually, this session is going to be about showing you how to run things in notebooks and how basically the basic code that you need to run the most basic machine learning model, which is regression. And so today it's more like we want to give you a gentle introduction and kind of like explain to you what this is going to be about and answer your questions. But starting next week, we're going to be getting into the code.
So Sunny's got a great question. It says, for dev setup, what's the minimum configuration required? Do we need an Azure subscription?
No.
Don't need an Azure subscription. We're not doing anything on Microsoft. Azure. It's all local. In our 4th video, the videos went out on Monday. In our 4th video, I will put the link to the videos in the chat again, actually. So the 4th video, we talked through the setup if you want to do it locally. But if you've got a GitHub account, then you can run it in Codespaces in the cloud and you get 60 hours for free. No credit card needed, nothing like that. You just literally sign up for GitHub. I can't type at the moment. I can't type and talk at the same time. I really can't. But if you do it in a Codespace, so how we've got here, these Codespaces, they come pre-configured. You get 60 hours a month for free. You don't need a credit card to sign up. So the minimum dev setup is either install Python and VS Code Jupyter Notebooks locally, or get a GitHub account and run it on Codespaces.
Yeah, and it's actually a really good question about are we going to be running this on Azure? So just to give an introduction, so you can run machine learning models locally if they're simple enough and if you don't have a lot of data. And usually to learn, that's actually the best way because you can iterate so much quicker. And so that's what we're going to be doing in this course. But then in production, eventually, as your data grows and your models get more complex, then you would be running them on Azure. And then I'm sure there's plenty of other tools for you to learn that side of it, but that's not what we're going to be talking about here. We're really going to keep it simple, simple models, not a lot of data, and running on your local machine.
Yeah, because if you think we're doing demos with hundreds of thousands of lines of rows, but in the real world, when you're hitting production, you're talking about millions of data points. You do analytics, and that's where you need an entire farm of GPUs to do this. But it's not cost efficient to buy a farm of GPUs. So it makes more sense to rent in the cloud, train it all. And then same as when you run the models, if you run the models once a day, you don't want to buy a load of GPUs. You want to rent them for that once a day when the model is run. More questions. Kaden says, will this course touch on CNN, RNN, and reinforcement learning?
No. I believe we have another course, which is the deep learning one that touches on those things. So we're going to keep it just basic, just because those are deep learning techniques. And so we have another course for deep learning. This one is just going to be teaching machine learning, classical machine learning, not neural networks.
But I will drop a link in the chat to the AI for beginners. And that does that's got neural networks, CNNs. So that's kind of a lot more advanced. A lot of good stuff there. Actually, while I'm dropping links in the chat, I will drop another one just check I got the link right. We have data science for beginners. So you talked earlier about data science. Kind of you need the data for everything. So I'll drop data science for beginners in the chat as well. Cool. Okay. So how often will there be classes? So we're doing them. So Mondays we drop the videos, and then Thursdays and Fridays at the same time we kind of do the walkthrough questions. A lot of questions. We'll get a link. So I know I'll ask this. We'll just get a link dropped in the chat so you can sign up for the rest of them. Running this week, next week, the week after, and then taking a couple of weeks break, and then we're back in with more. We have to wrap up there. We are at time. So apologies if you didn't get your questions. So we're back tomorrow.
Same time, same place.
Different place, different
place. Okay.
Different place.
Same time, different place.
Same time, different place. We'll make sure there's a link in the chat. If you signed up for the series, you should already have an invite. If not, we'll get a link just dropped in the chat. It's on there. It's in the chat already. We'll get another link dropped in the chat. You can sign up to come and join us tomorrow. And the rest, yep, that's in the chat. Thank you. But there is a survey link in the chat. When we do these events, we want your feedback so we can make sure we're doing the best thing possible for you. So please, if you've got time, if you can fill in the survey, it asks for an event ID. It's one form we use for all of our live streams. Ask for event ID. It's 18900. Please give us your thoughts. We want to make sure our streams is the best thing they can possibly be for you, and we can only do that if we learn from you as to how we can do things better. But with that, Bea, thank you. I always enjoy hanging out with you. Thanks everyone who joined. Really great to have you all chatting with us. We'll be back tomorrow, and we can kind of chat more, and we'll hopefully go a bit further through the things we were hoping to cover off today. But we're here to answer your questions. So you know what? If we don't get time because you've got more questions, that's what we're here to answer. So otherwise, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day wherever you are in the world, and see you all tomorrow.